Hello there, everyone, and welcome to another probably unimpressive episode of Super Cast Brothers. I am, of course, one of your two primary hosts, Zantok, otherwise known as Lister. We also have with us the usual fucking craziness who's down there, Jonno,
Jonno
otherwise
and
known as
Jonathan,
Jonathan,
etc.
and John and Joe, and really anything else you
Jonathan
can do
and
with the letters
Jonathan.
Jon. But we also have with a returning guest, Eric, otherwise known as Flamezone, not Chillzone. That was a short, brief time in his history. But welcome back. How did we get you on here again, by the way? Was it the money, or were you just bored?
No, the John let me out of his cage in the basement again. So
He
once
let you
every half
out?
a year. Yeah, no, it's kind of nice to be out, and it's a little bit freeing.
Huh. I
In his
never
own
let.
apartment right now.
I don't ever let Ebed out. He's just trapped down there.
Yeah.
To be fair,
He's
all
got
he
so
asks
much
for is
spirit.
Chrono Trigger and Tim Hortons, and then he's happy.
Yeah. I mean, that's basically my requirements too. Random ice caps here and there. John treats me pretty well, though. I'm pretty content with my box.
All right, not bad. Do you have like an exclamation point on your box, or
What's that? Sorry.
do you have like an exclamation point painted on your box?
Yeah.
Okay, not bad, not bad.
I think he said it's just to help me be immersed and like I'm sneaking, but I think he just doesn't want to see me all the time.
I
Wants to cut me
mean,
up.
to be fair,
Yeah, I don't blame him.
yeah, I don't either. Like, I wish I could tell you to turn your camera off, but
Yeah, I know.
yeah, it was nice those first two seasons when we weren't using cameras, but things are different now.
Yeah.
I do have to say though, you are our first guest to be on an on topic, a Smashtopia, and a Smasher Dash episode. You're the first one.
Hey, that's cool.
Yes.
You are also currently tied for the most amount of guest appearances, along with Trevor.
Hey, there we go. I'm a returning guest now.
Yeah, you've been on 4 times, including this episode.
So do I get a permanent spot now?
You want to?
No,
No.
not a chance.
I see.
You know what I like about Eric living in my
Nothing.
basement is that every so often he comes up and he'll perch himself on my shoulders, and then he'll climb on top of my head, and I put my hat on, and he helps me cook.
Oh, see, I was gonna guess parakeet, but clearly you're saying he's a rat.
He likes to tug on my hair, and then I just move around and cut.
There's not much hair to tug.
There is where it counts.
This is quite an intro.
So,
Welcome to Smasher Dash.
we had a discussion earlier about lines and crossing lines, and I just want to say, dear God. All right, so Smash or Dash is the episode of the day, but as we established in our previous Smash Dash episode, we're adding some things to the new season. We got about a rate their chances characters to go over first. Now, in our previous episode for this, we went over Skull Kid, Arthur from Ghosts and Goblins, Isaac from Golden Sun, Crystal from Star Fox, and Alf from Pikmin. Of them, we range from Arthur to Alf, with Arthur getting a 10% score and Alf getting an 80% score. But we have 5 new characters to discuss today. What scores will they get? I don't know. This time we've got 3 people who we're going to be averaging out together instead of just 2. So who knows where this will land. Jonno, go ahead and kick things off with the first of our 5 rate their chances characters.
Okay, our first rate their chances character of this morning, afternoon, evening is Dixie Kong from the Donkey Kong Country franchise. Very, very talked about popular choice for Smash. How are we feeling about her actual chances for Smash 6, proverbial 6? That is the question.
Well, what do you think?
What do I think?
I mean, we start with you.
Fairly... That's true. It always begins with me. Most things in life, most facets of life. I think they're very strong. They're very strong. We got K. Rool. I can only imagine Dixie was high up on that Smash ballot too. I'm pleased that we didn't get her as like an Echo or something. If we had to wait, I would have chose K. Rool first too. So here we are. I may abstain from my percentage chance until letting you guys talk, but I do think the chance is very high.
Okay. As for me, first of all, I do want to mention that I know a lot of people when Echoes were revealed, people were just like, "Oh man, Dixie Kong could have been an Echo of Diddy Kong," and that's when I was just like, "Why? No, don't do that. Dixie Kong has plenty of her own material. Echo characters should be ones where they have less material to go off of for their own character. Like, you know, as much as I hate the extra Fire Emblem characters, not that I hate Fire Emblem, but we didn't need Chrom and Lucina along with Marth and Roy, but it is a lot harder to differentiate the different Fire Emblem swordsmen from each other, especially with all the Falchion users. Holy shit. But other choices like Fox and Falco, you can easily argue why they would fight similarly. Peach Daisy, easy. That mode makes a lot of sense. Dixie Kong she would be a disservice to just make her be an Echo. So I'm very glad that they didn't do that, first of all. As for adding her as a future Smash character, I want to say that she has high chances, but I also kind of wonder, because we did get King K. Rool, considering that it took 3 games to get Diddy Kong, additional 2 games to get K. Rool, I kind of wonder if they're going to wait another 2 games for Dixie Kong. I wish that's not the choice. I would love to see her be in the next one. But I do kind of wonder if they'll just be like, you just got a character, DK. You can wait till the next game to get another one. What do you think, Eric?
I think that's a really valid point. That they've trickled out the DK characters pretty slowly. You know, they have a pretty diverse cast, especially when you consider like DK64 too, yeah. And like even Dixie could probably borrow some elements of like Tiny from that game as well, like with shooting bubblegum and stuff like that. Like she could definitely work. And I personally think if they were to add another DK series character, it would have to be Cranky or Dixie at this point, and I think that her chances are also very, very strong.
Yeah, I would say that most likely, if we get another one, it will be Dixie. After that, Cranky, and then beyond that, Funky, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, you got Chunky, Tiny, Linky, and Kitty at that point, but none of them feel particularly strong. Maybe Tiny.
Yeah, you could put like their elements onto other characters, maybe.
Yeah. Or like make Chunky an Echo of DK. That could easily work.
Or Funky or something, yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's something that I think may be likelier than Dixie at that point, is if we're dealing with, limited resources. Maybe if they want to go another DK character, it's as simple as slapping Funky Kong in and giving him like DK's old Final Smash or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
should we roll off the percentages then for all of us then, or like the chances there? I would give. Okay, go ahead, John. Go ahead.
Okay. We'll just go in the circular order for organization's sake. I will say 60 just feels a little too low for the character and the legacy. I'll say 70%.
I was also leaning around the 70% area. Like, I want to say she's more like an 80, 85, but with how long it took to get Diddy, how long it took to get K. Rool, I'm kind of, I don't know. Want it, but I'm not sure. What do you think, Eric?
Right.
I would slap her with a good 85.
There you go.
Okay. All right. Well, at that point, our average turns out to being 75% chance for Dixie Kong.
Nice. We'll see you in Smash. We'll hope anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. Onwards, eh?
Onwards and, well, reboots, I guess. Yep. Which, speaking of...
I was a fan of this reboot. Yep. It's Lara Croft from Tomb Raider. Which one? I kind of imagine it would be the rebooted Lara Croft at this point.
Most likely.
Okay, yeah, and funnily enough, the longest running Tomb Raider iteration was the least lauded one with the Tomb Raider anniversary, Laura. So
Longest
that
running
was
because they just took a while to reboot it again.
yeah, true enough. But no, I think this was a reboot done right. It's a survivalist game through and through, all the same, just a little bit more down to earth. So whatever. As far as her chances in Smash go, there was a time when, despite her iconicity in gaming, I mean, I think that Laura there may very well be a case for her to be the most iconic female gaming character. Um,
She's definitely in
besides,
the running.
yeah, absolutely. Um, it would seem lofty, but after this Smash, I mean, Sora's in the freaking game. Uh, she has as good a chance as other characters. It just makes me wonder. Um, her spot can be filled by similar characters loosely. Um, characters who fit maybe like a female shooter mold, like Jill Valentine, for instance, who we'll be talking about a little later. So that kind of skews it a bit. And then there's just the fact that she's under Square Enix's moniker now after they bought Eidos. And I don't know that she is a character that Square or Enix would want to focus on, because since she's a Western character. So it might have to be a very specific ask on Nintendo's part, as opposed to Square coming up and saying, "We recommend Sephiroth." Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know on this one. I again, it's a character I want to say is relatively high, but
On the subject of Square pushing Lara Croft or not, I mean, we are still getting Tomb Raider games. Granted, I don't know exactly when the last one was, but it's not like the franchise is laying dormant currently. By that same token,
True.
Square Enix, unlike the N64 era, is very friendly with Nintendo right now. They have a great relationship. I don't think if Nintendo came calling for Lara, Square would be like, no, we don't want to do that.
Mhm.
Have Zack Fair instead. I don't think they'd do that. Now if they were wanting if they were just like, hey, we want a Final Fantasy character, we're not sure which one to take, then Square will be like, oh well, what about Noctis? What about Lightning? But I don't think we'll really have that
Right.
kind of an issue with Laura. I think Laura's bigger issue is, I feel like you only go for Laura if you're trying to hit that genre that she represents. I don't know what you would really call it. It's adventure. Relic hunting. I I'm not. I haven't played. It's Tomb Raider in
Yeah.
Uncharted. That genre of games. But
Right.
between those two, those are really the only notable ones that I have any amount of knowledge on. It's an easy choice for Lara. We had a Smash Bros. Episode between those two characters last season, and we went Lara Croft easily.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as her overall larger Smash chances, if they are wanting something from that genre, if they're wanting a huge female icon, that's the kind of thing they're looking for, and then they pick a character out of that category, easy choice. But beyond that, I don't see her chances necessarily high. I think they could be, but I don't. I don't imagine Nintendo specifically being on the hunt for Lara, like they might specifically be on the hunt for like Sora.
Yeah. And
That's those are really good points there, gentlemen. So I think Laura's kind of interesting because I think that she's almost kind of she's almost like outlived her prime to be in Smash, because like one of her biggest claim to fame is like the most iconic female lead in the game at the time, right?
Yeah.
And I think her reboot is largely uninteresting as a character now, because like female leads aren't that strange anymore in games nowadays. I'm thinking like Alloy, like 2B, like female leads in gaming is not a novel thing anymore. And I think that her novelty has worn off for the most part. I think her chances are low.
Okay. I wouldn't know if I would say that her novelty is worn up, but the idea of like these big female characters leading a game, it's definitely a lot more common than it used to be back in her day. Because back then it was what, Laura and Samus, and
Yeah, and Samus was,
some
like-
people
like
didn't even
looking
think
like-
Samus was a girl.
Yeah.
You also have to think though too. They haven't even introduced like a proper shooter character into Smash yet, right?
Yeah, that feels really weird to me. Like that's a large part of why I thought Chief had a good shot as the last character pick, because you have the the father of modern shooter games, with Doomguy being essentially the grandfather, and also you had that infamous tagline that they could have easily gone with finishing the fight. I just felt perfect there. Sora was a great choice. I had my eye off Master Chief for that particular role. But the fact that we don't have a shooter, which is one of the, it's the biggest genre not represented in Smash yet. One of the few genres not represented. That does feel weird to me. Like our shooter characters are Snake and Bayonetta.
Yeah. And I don't know if Laura would get in before Master Chief or Doomguy to represent that too.
I mean, she could get in before them, but I don't think they would be getting her to represent shooters. I think it'd be more the adventure exploration that she'd be representing.
But she's always on the box with like dual pistols and stuff. But yeah, I feel you.
Yeah.
Maybe slap her on the pistols, but not so much the shooter character compared to Chief or Doomslayer.
Yeah. She'd be as much of a shooter as Bayonetta is, really.
Yeah. Well, fair points. No, I'll go first. So I think I probably would give her like 25%.
Okay. Jonno, what about you?
39.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
I'm gonna go. I was actually thinking a little bit higher, but now I'm kind of wanting to dip a little bit lower. I'm gonna go 44%. Sure, why not?
Okay.
I was thinking 45 initially. I was like, you know what? I'll go a little lower. We'll go 44%. I feel like her odds aren't terrible, but as we said, you got to really be looking to add her, and I don't know that Nintendo would be doing that. But with our 3 scores to go, that will average her out to a 36% chance of being in the next game.
A better chance than Arthur. So,
I mean, I agree with that. I agree with that.
Right.
Better chance than Arthur.
I agree. Mm-hmm.
He may be ready for battle, but he's not ready for a brawl.
Arthur the Aardvark.
Get out.
Well, his chances are 99%. So
Nice.
All right, so who's gonna be our next rate their chances character?
Boo, but a king.
Ah.
King Boo from Luigi's Mansion and so on and so forth. So, Luigi's Mansion, on one hand, it makes sense that it hasn't gotten more than it has, and there's a healthy amount in Smash already for what it is, with Luigi's Final Smash and the stage.
An amazing stage.
An amazing stage, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
It's a surprisingly strong selling franchise. When you look at the numbers from Luigi's Mansion, they are higher than you think, especially for the last game of the Switch. So I think we may underrate King Boo's chances as a collective Smash community, where it's a instantly recognizable character in a obviously very popular Mario franchise and a very popular subset of the Mario franchise. We live in a world where King Boo is probably realistically more of a chance for Smash than some of our favorite choices. Barhold Waluigi, or a major choice like that, King Boo may very well be second place to him at this point.
Mm.
If you weigh your chances, Cat, Pauline, Ward, whatever, even going into the subset, Dixie Kong, Cranky, Paper Mario, Gino, King Boo may actually be up there.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm thinking, and I think he's definitely more so than EGAT at this point, and fucking Luigi. So I think yeah.
Guigi can only
Thinking
exist
about
as
it,
an echo. I would not be shocked if we
be...
see Guigi as a alt for Luigi, though, much like Alf. Because I don't think it'd be. I think it'd just be like a
Yeah.
one slot, like woolen Yoshi, not woolen yarn.
Yeah.
Crafted Yoshi. That's what it is. I think it'll be something like
Mhm.
that. That's the best I think Luigi can really hope for.
Yeah,
But,
and I mean, you know, they could say, "Oh, it's not canon," but neither is Dark Samus fighting like Samus. So,
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Dark Samus could, but
yeah,
it's a weird one. Of all the echoes that we got in Smash Ultimate, Dark Samus is the one that I feel like the most shouldn't be an echo of all of them.
Agreed.
It's the
Agreed.
most. It's like, I mean, you can, but. As for King Boo, though, if you had asked me what King Boo's chances were before Ultimate, I would have had him be in the "there's no fucking way" category. Why would they put in a? It doesn't make any sense. What, a Boo fighting? What? Then we got Piranha Plant. It's like, all right, fuck. Okay, the chances are in. I on the one hand, I hate it. On the other hand, it's better than a regular Boo.
Yeah, there's elements of what it can do. Then, yeah.
In like you mentioned, like Luigi's Mansion has done pretty well. I think part of that is just because it's such a different type of game in the Mario world that we don't have. And like, it's not just like, oh look, new Super Mario Bros. And Wii and 2 and Wii U and all that fucking repeated bullshit. Luigi's Mansion is a completely fresh idea. Granted, there's been 3 of them at this point, but they still do well. Dark Moon may not have been as good as the other 2, but it's still, people like the series. And King Boo has his own unique qualities to him. He has different things that he can do that other players really can't. I imagine he might have a down special that's, well, it's not technically a counter, it's more like an evasion thing where he'll turn invisible and anything going through him will just like pass through. That'd be something really cool and unique that nobody else can really do. Beyond that, I don't really know specifically other things he could do, but after Piranha Plant, I really feel like his chances shoot up. Would I rate him highly? No. But I do think he has a lot higher chances than I would have imagined pre-Ultimate.
Yeah, very good point there. And also, just a quick question, like King Boo was prevalent in Luigi's Mansion 3, right? I haven't quite played that one yet.
All 3 Luigi's Mansions and Super Mario Sunshine.
Yeah, so he does have a lot of history to draw on, and I feel like Smash Bros. Always expands the Mario fighters, like every time. I think every time, right?
Every single game has gotten a new Mario character, except for Brawl. Brawl's the only one that didn't. In Brawl, we lost Dr. Mario.
That's weird. But for the more likely that they would add more, especially like with the trend of Piranha Plant, like Rosalina, kind of like more of just expanding the Mario pool as much as possible. I think he's up there in the list for sure. Absolutely.
They've actually added 2 each game except for Brawl. Because the original had Mario and Luigi, then we got Peach, Bowser, and Dr. Mario also in Melee. It's at least 2. We lose Dr. Mario, then we get Rosalina and Bowser Jr., and then we get Daisy and Piranha Plant. So they have really expanded on the Mario roster each time. You can, Mario and Pokemon are really the only 2 series that I feel like you can count on them getting a new character each Smash game.
But yeah,
true.
But no, Boo has a lot of material to draw on too. I think he is actually a good representation of a villain for like Luigi too.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
He actually is a very, very solid pick for a Mario. I think it's about maybe like 2nd or 3rd down the line for sure.
I don't know if I'd have him in my top 3.
Heroes versus villains again.
Thinking about it.
What's that, sorry?
There's no heroes and villains theme. You have any character you can categorize them as a hero or villain in some shape or form. There's no fucking theme. No, stop it. Stop
Mimikyu's not in this.
Mimikyu's not in the game. There was an old person leaking, trying to make up bullshit, and it wasn't true. Fuck.
Samurai Goro, no.
Lister, do you want to give your percentage first?
See, the additional number I thought of, when I thought of the number, I was like, ooh, that's lower than Lara Croft. Do I feel like that's true? Do I think King Boo has a lower chance than Lara Croft? And honestly, I do think so. We're not strictly like holding true to like, oh man, I said this compared to this other character, but after we just done Lara, it kind of came to mind for me. but I'm gonna go with a 40% chance.
Hmm.
Mario is likely to get new characters in the next team, absolutely, and I think King Boo has decent odds. But there's also so many Mario characters that are in contention for Mario spots. From Waluigi to Gino to Wart.
Birdo.
Honestly,
Yeah.
Birdo doesn't
Honestly,
have a terrible chance. Well, I'd put Birdo below King Boo probably, honestly. But there's also Toad and Captain Toad. There's so many choices. They can even throw Paulina at us now. Cappy has a chance. There's a lot that they could do for Mario.
Plessy.
I don't know about Plessy.
But yeah, actually, I was gonna say the exact same percentage as Lister before he said that. So yeah, I was gonna go with 40%.
I'm feeling a little better about it. I think Waluigi's the guy from the next game. If he isn't, I am.
They're death, yeah.
But if that's not the case, and I mean, Sakurai said he had to change the part after he realized people actually loved Waluigi, but it was way too late. But all the same, I think King Boo's second behind Waluigi. It's a gut feeling. I'm going to go higher. I'm going to go 62.
62. All right.
Yeah.
Well, adding it all together, that is going to come out to 47.3%.
Wow. That was my grade from when I dropped out of college.
That was your grade for English class? Yeah.
Yeah.
You never did get any better.
Who?
You.
You?
No, you.
King Boo? Oh, yeah.
Moving on to a character that doesn't sound like the number 4.
Yep. Balloon Fighter.
Oh. We go from a balloon to a balloon fighter. Huh. Interesting how that works.
Funny how that works.
Funny how that was not planned, actually.
Yeah, that was pretty impromptu. That was pretty clever.
Thank you.
Leave it to Lister. He games and he knows things. So yeah, Balloon Fighter. I think that there's fairly decent odds here. It's a character that has allegedly been thought of for Smash before, and it's a legacy character for Nintendo. We all know they like doing the retro thing with Duck Hunt, Rob, Ice Climbers, Little Mac, Mr. Game & Watch, so on and so forth.
Arguably Simon Richter.
Yeah, I was going to say this game was arguably Castlevania for the retro rep, which is kind of interesting, and then kind of sort of Piranha Plant too with some of the specials or whatever. But I think we're going to go back to having a traditionally retro first-party pick in Smash 6. It's a fairly safe bet. And of those fairly safe bets, Balloon Fighter is up there. I think relatively high on the list of characters that they can do something for. And we've gone more outlandish than Balloon Fighter already with Ice Climbers and Mr. Game & Watch. Like, what? And Rob, arguably. And Duck Hunt operating with the Zap. So, it's not that hard to believe. Really, his hardest competition are characters that fit the same mold, like Takamaru, Bubbles, Lip, characters like that.
Excite Bike, yeah.
Yeah. But Mock Rider as well. But he's uniquely in that retro lane, so not a bad choice for retro.
And first party retro too, because like Ryu Hayabusa could be like another third party retro too, right?
That's true.
Oh yeah, give me that.
I forget his name, but the guy from Contra, Bill. There's another classic retro choice. Bub and Bob.
And one other thing that I remembered. Yeah, true. Balloon Fighter was also a game notoriously coded by Satoru Iwata, so if they wanted to throw him a bone, there you go.
Honestly, I kind of thought that was going to happen with Ultimate. With Iwata's passing, I was kind of thinking, like, wow, could we get Balloon Fighter for that legacy? And I remember correctly, I think Balloon Fighter has been talked about before, or at least Sakurai has mentioned him as a character that they considered at one point for the kind of rich slot. I might not be remembering this completely. Source Gaming would be the one to check on that kind of shit because they have all that good information. But you pretty much said everything I was kind of thinking on with Balloon Fighter. he's a strong retro choice. There's several good retro choices. I would honestly put Mock Rider, Lip, and Takamaru along with Balloon Fighter in the top potential choices for it. But I think what you would have with Balloon Fighter is a character that, like, he's going to be fighting in a very much a unique way. I mean, his game is very Joust-esque. You have two modes. It's either pop the balloons on your opponent's head by flying above them, or evade all the sparkly shit and don't let your own balloons get popped. So I kind of feel him as like very much potentially an evasion-based character, or somebody who's going to be very much the opposite of Little Mac, kind of like a Jigglypuff, not having maybe would have like a great air game, which like being able to just like seamlessly fly throughout the goddamn air. But with him having with Smash loving doing retro choices, the potential of them going, hey, here's an Iwata specific kind of choice, I could easily see that legacy happening.
Yeah, agreed.
Very, very solid points there. The only hangups I have with Balloon Fighter is that I personally struggle to envision him with like a viable like ground move set, for example. It might just be kind of awkward, but he could be a completely unique take for sure. Like maybe he has like more aerial moves than ground moves, like Lil Mac, I guess, or opposite Lil Mac.
I could see his ground moves being very weak, like a basic punch at basic hit. Maybe he can like kind of like twist around and swing his balloons or something. But
that's like that's like so many moves though in Smash. So it's kind of like but and I also don't know if he's quite as iconic of a character as like, even like Duck Hunt and Zapper were at their reveal too. I feel like everyone had that game, but if they had NES, of course. So I'm kind of like iffy on the odds, but I think he's a viable retro pick. But I don't even know if he'd be like third on the list for retro.
Okay.
But
I think
Terminal maybe number one.
Yeah, I think Takamaru would be number one if it wasn't for his game being Japanese. Because like Sakurai straight up said that if his game, if the character was more well known, he would have been in by now. He said that. But if that's still something he's thinking about, well, Balloon Fight is an international game.
True.
So,
John, what do you think?
You're going with me first, okay? Yeah, it was a good discussion. I'm torn on it. I do still personally think that he has relatively high chances within that retro kind of cavalcade. I'm just uncertain of his chances versus the remaining characters he'd had to battle for that spot. As he really have one retro rep. For this one, I'm going to just have to go for a straight 50.
50%. Wow.
Okay, 50. I'm actually going to go a bit higher than that. Because I feel like the pool of viable retro choices is shrinking with each game. Because we're just, it's a limited pool as is. There's no new retro characters entering the list of possibilities. They kind of can't. As each time one of them gets picked, everybody else's odds raise. But taking everything into account with him, I'm actually just going to say 65.
Holy cow. I'm like on the complete opposite spectrum here, I think. I don't know if you guys will like my percentage, but I was going to pick 15%.
Wow, that is quite the difference. Damn.
Okay.
I mean, that's why we like having multiple voices on this kind of thing, because you never know.
Because I think that they would go with max one more retro character, and I don't think it would be Balloon Fighter, but that's just my gut instinct on that one. But you guys have very viable points. They could always find a way to make it work for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I said 65, knowing that it's probably potentially high for him, but there's so few retros, and even though you have a Takamaru, maybe Takamaru might be another 30%, but then a Lip could be that remaining amount.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But averaging our three together, we actually are bringing it down to 43.3.
Sorry, boys.
No, it's fine. I think that's fairly fair.
No, it's a good. I think it's a good thing to have some dichotomy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And for our fifth and final rated chances character today, it is Andy from Advance Wars, the little orange star engineer that could. first of all, how cool would the character be? We're getting the reboot now, and so that helps his chances. Like regardless of if it's a 15% chance or a 90% chance, it helps his chances.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're higher than they were. Because otherwise, it's a kind of obscure franchise. For a while, we would have thought it was dead because
We did think it was dead.
Intelligence systems threw all their beans in the Fire Emblem bag port, basically, for a long while there. But it's back. It is back, and it's looking pretty decent.
It's back and it has one of the best remake titles that any remake has ever had, period. Reboot Camp is fucking clever. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Props to whoever came up with that, seriously.
When's that coming out, actually?
Good question. I don't know.
I haven't played Advance Wars all the way through.
December 3rd. It's close.
Holy cow. I haven't played it all the way through, but like that's for sure. I'm gonna jump in at that point too.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, and I think there's a lot of ways you can interpret the moveset, and I think that might be part of why they choose the character. I think the Game Boy Advance era is such a vibrant era of Nintendo's history, and yet it doesn't seem to have that much in terms of representation in Smash. You had the Jail from Drill Dozer trophy that was this trophy that died, and Isaac, who's just an assist trophy. So I think calling the odds between the Game Boy Advance era characters, it's like this battle between Isaac and Andy, and who would be on top in the theoretical situation where one of them gets it.
Oh, I can answer that. A Gen 3 Pokemon.
Isaac.
Yeah, exactly. We don't even have that.
Yeah, we don't even have a Gen 3 Pokemon. That's true.
Where's Absol?
It's just Roy for the Game Boy Advance, isn't it? Is it literally just Roy?
I have that information written down somewhere, actually. Let me... Where is... Because I've tracked that kind of crap. Game Boy Advance.
You can kind of call Wario.
Oh, that's
Wario was
on
Game Boy, right?
Roy and Lucas. Roy and Lucas are Game Boy
Lucas.
Advance.
Yeah.
But Lucas is like at the tail end of the Game Boy Advance lifespan because he was April 2006 and the DS and Pokemon. I don't have. And the DS released in 2004. So he was post DS.
Now that I'm thinking about why is Takamaru off the table if Roy and Lucas are like in there?
Because Sakurai is gonna Sakurai.
Yeah, I guess. Hey.
Listen, I respect the man, but Sakurai gonna Sakurai.
Okay.
It's like Miyamoto gonna Miyamoto.
Yeah.
That's how we got Sticker Star.
Oh God! Don't remind me of that.
And Color Splash and Origami King. Good times.
They're not the same games, but that's a different topic. Yeah.
So yeah, it's hard to say. Let's go, Lister. What do you think his chances are?
So, the hard thing with Andy is, I don't think the Advanced Warrior games they have their cult following, but outside, similar to Golden Sun, but outside of their cult following, I don't think he's a very well known character, or his games were very well known. We've got the remake coming up, which is going to help, but I think it's very much going to depend on how that game sells. Like, yes, the fact the remake exists does boost him, but it's really hard to gauge how far that's going to boost him up. If it sells exceedingly well, then we might be seeing Andy. If it does, middling, then I don't think his chances really change. Outside of that, as far as what he will be doing in Smash, I have a harder time imagining him doing a whole lot. I mean, we know he has these gigantic wrenches in his art, so people will suggest, he can fight with a giant wrench, or he can toss a wrench, or he can command a take to fight. And listen, we talked about Lusamine in a previous episode, how she could be a summoner fighter. So you could say Andy could be a summoner as well. Just have a generic infantry unit pop up, or a tank, or a helicopter, or whatever, which is an interesting idea. And honestly, in my opinion, the best way to represent him in that game. But the fact that we haven't got any kind of summoning fighter at all, even though there's so many easy choices, I have a hard time seeing Smash actually going for something like that. So it's really hard for me to be super positive about Andy. Like we've talked before about potentially doing an episode of him in the Smash Soapy, and I've just been like, how?
Yeah, I actually agree with Lister on a lot of that too. Like, another thing with Balloonfire, and Andy is that I struggle envisioning them actually in game more than the other ones. And yeah, like I think the best way to represent them too would just even be having like kind of sprites pop up for different smashes, but like Lister said, it's never happened before, right? And also, what's interesting too,
It'd be so
it
cool.
should have. What's interesting though too is that Advance Wars is actually like a subset of like Nintendo Wars. Like, it's a big series, and it's so unknown to this point, despite having multiple entries, right? I think it's like very very low grossing, so I don't know.
I think it's also telling that in Brawl, the assist trophy for Advance Wars wasn't Andy. It was just generic sprites for infantry and tanks.
Mhm.
I feel like that
Right.
hurts him.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
I'll lay mine out there. 10%.
I'm sorry, what was that?
My guess is 10%.
10%. Okay. Jonno, what about you?
Yeah, mine's not much higher. Again, if you're just banking on that subset, it's like, oh, it's a Game Boy game. Let's do that. 15.
15?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I was kind of between 15 and 20 for me. Because my original number was 15, and then you brought up the remake. I was like, yeah, remake does boost them up. But I was thinking 20%? Does 20 sound right? And I was like, yeah, 20 sounds too high. I'm going to go for 17. I'm going to go 17% for me.
Okay.
And putting that all together, it's a 14% chance.
Ooh.
So, our highest
Still higher than Arthur.
Yes, our highest for the day is Dixie Kong at 75%, which I think anybody could pretty easily say for here. And our lowest is going to be Andy at 14%. He's not our lowest overall. That's still Arthur. But we'll see what future rate their chances characters bring in later Smash Bros. Episodes this season. I'll be curious to see how it all lines out at the end.
That'd be really interesting.
Yeah, especially when we do rate their chances of all of the characters that we've done rate their chances for throughout the entire season, all in the final episode of the Tournament of Champions.
No.
Yep.
We're not No. Fuck off.
And we're gonna have 10 guests on to do it.
That would be pretty epic.
Including Chris Pratt.
Nice. Special guest star. Chris Pratt. Playing Lister.
No. He can't capture this, whatever this is.
Zest.
I was going to say mania. Alright, so before we can actually get into the Smash Bros. For today's episode, we need to talk about the tiebreaker results for our Spyro versus Amaterasu matchup that we did in the previous Smash Bros. Episode. So, we've had some polls up, people could have voted on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook comments, messaging it just us personally, whatever. But, actually on Twitter, I believe we have some votes on Twitter as well. So, Jonno, I believe you have our results. So, tell me, who won in a smash or dash between Spyro the Dragon and Amaterasu the Wolf?
I have our results right here in hand. And after this fateful matchup between two quadruped warriors, the winner is Amaterasu.
All right, Amaterasu it is, going forwards from this Smash Dash, or last Smash Dash really, into Tournament of Champions 3. Yes, we are foolish enough to bring it back once again. But I don't know about you, but I'm definitely not surprised at all about Amaterasu winning this. I knew it was going to happen, but I still have to support my buddy.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, as we addressed in the last Smash Dash, this was a unique Smash Dash going forward from our 1v1 me bro game that we had going on personally between ourselves for like years. And it culminated into that. Gino versus Mars is kind of a bespoken one as well. But this one, it ended closer than I thought it would. We got more votes than I thought we would too.
Mm-hmm. What were the vote totals?
I think a total of I'm trying to do the math in my head, which is going to be unsuccessful. Nearly 40 votes.
40 votes? Really?
Yeah, between all the different platforms. We had 15 for Spyro and 18 for Amaterasu.
15 plus 18 is not 40.
Oh, it's not. It's nearly 40.
It's 33. I wouldn't call that nearly 40.
Nearly 35 votes.
I'd say over 30.
Do you think we'd get 33 votes? It was so that was good. It was a valiant fight. We got different optics from Twitter, Instagram, Facebook.
Yeah, which was very
YouTube,
nice.
And we reached a couple people personally. So I mean, Spyro won on Instagram. So
all right, that's my new favorite platform.
There you go. So we'll definitely be using like just everything moving forward because that was a pretty cool experiment for the season, and it worked out well. And good job to Spyro. I would have been happy with any of them in hindsight. They're both.
I mean, these are all characters that we wanted. Gino, Marks, Amaterasu, Spyro. We want all four of these characters.
Amaterasu, looking forward to Tournament of Champions. We'll see how that mess goes.
Note to self, get an anti-Okami fan to be our tiebreaker assistant on the Tournament of Champions. Because it's going to be needed.
Amy versus Gino Part 2, man.
Well, I don't even want to think about it. All right, but with that, we're going to go ahead and jump back into the actual episode and see what kind of Smash Passes we've got for the Hideki Kamiya special. Enjoy! All four of today's characters are characters and from games that Hideki Kamiya has had a hand in, either as part of Platinum Games, Clover Studios, or just with general Capcom. Because I don't think, because I'm pretty sure one of them predated Clover, but he worked on them regardless.
Yeah.
So our first, we'll get to them.
We'll get to that.
Yes, the first matchup is going to be a Clover Studios versus Platinum Games choice. I've got to put the versus image up. There it is. It's going to be Wonder Red or Viewtiful Joe. Two red-wearing, cape-bearing, masked. I think they're also both blonde protagonists. Wonder Red was very much inspired by Viewtiful Joe's design. I feel like, I mean, come on, it's just right there. How can you not see it?
Yep. It's like Viewtiful Joe and like maybe like Strider combined, little bit. So interesting times, right? Wonder Red, otherwise known as Will Wedgwood, Mr. Wedgwood, a teacher when he's not working for the
government.
What you call it? Sentinel's Planetary Secret Service for the USA government. Yes.
Okay.
Wonder Red is a superhero. He is the leader of the Wonderful 101, member of that Secret Service interplanetary program, as we said, as well as all the other members.
There's 101 of them.
And so the Wonderful 101, they have this power where their suits allow them to transform into gigantic weapons for Wonder Red to use in battle. And his primary weapon that he forms all of the other Wonderful 101 into is a giant fist. Then you hit them with a giant fist, kind of like Patrick did to Squidward when he was a toy in that one episode, toy size rather, with the Wumbo machine from Mermaid Man. So that's kind of that, and he's a guy that forms a giant fist out of people and he attacks you with it, and it's a good time. Interesting title. Yeah, Viewtiful Joe on the other hand, he's less accomplished than Wonderful 101, I'd say, in real life. He's just kind of a slob who watches movies all day and eats pizza and says "henshin a go-go baby" because he is a dirty otaku. But all the same,
he also becomes a superhero, and the basis it's kind of similar to Comic Zone from the Sega Genesis era, where but instead of being transported into a world based on comics, it's a world based on movies. So Beautiful Joe's girlfriend is kidnapped during a movie theater escapade by the villain in the movie, and he chases after her, along with like the hero of the movie, and he becomes Beautiful Joe of the movie world. And Beautiful Joe's like a weird, small Power Ranger man who can use the crest to the V shape on his head as a boomerang-like weapon, and has a bunch of different fiery combo moves. It's a fun beat 'em up. It's an award-winning beat 'em up from the GameCube era. That wasn't that well known, but despite being a major cult classic. Probably better known than Andy, though.
I mean, it got 2 games, and he appeared in both Tatsunoko vs. Capcom and Marvel vs. Capcom 3. So at the very least, Capcom liked promoting him for a while.
Yeah, and he does like to say yummy as one of his taglines.
Oh god.
Eating a cheeseburger.
Right.
Wonder Red doesn't have any quotes on his wiki, so that kind of actually guts him a little bit, doesn't it?
I don't think it does.
It says, and then here comes the giant fist. Is what his There you go.
I mean, clearly that's his standard special. Like, come on.
Yeah, and then some crazy version of it as a final smash. Or there's a lot of crazy stuff from Wonderful 101 that you can do for a final smash as well.
Right. I'm not overly familiar with either title. I played the demo for Wonderful 101, and then I played the Capcom fighters that Beautiful Joe is in. So I'm not super caught up on either one. I know, Red has various different things that he can form. There's the fist, there's a sword, a gun, hammer, whip, claw, a bomb, more stuff I read about it, but those are the main ones. Beautiful Joe, he can slow down time kind of around him, kind of like Bayonetta's Witch Time. He can speed up his own time for Mach Speed. He has a zoom thing that I believe makes him fast, but also changes his attacks into different combos. And he's very much a combo heavy character. You mentioned that he has his little V on his head. They can use a boomerang, but he also has bombs that he can kick around as well. So each of them have their own various different tools. That sets them apart from each other at the very least. Just their appearances are very similar.
Yeah.
And Wonder Red. That's kind of the interesting thing with Wonder Red, and why it kind of went hard for him in the Wii U era. It was also easier to in the Wii U era because the Wii U was kind of the Wii U.
It was a thing at the time.
Right, it was the new thing at the time. There wasn't a whole lot to go around, regardless. But that's true, and I imagine this is how a Wonderful 101 character could work. I mean, we're talking about Wonder Red, and he would be the main character, so it's still the focus. But I wouldn't be surprised if we got Wonder Blue, Wonder Pink, Wonder Green as alternates of Wonder Red, basically functioning because you're throwing in their moves like Wonder Blue's giant gun, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
I don't think
you
we
can
get
draw
them as
on those for
alts.
specials.
Because you compare Wonder Red's frame to Wonder Yellow or Wonder Green. There's a bit of 2 different size difference there, but he definitely have colors based off. Like he'd have a yellow alt, blue alt, and it's like, well, yes, it's just yellow and blue. It's also very clearly, all right, it's Wonder Yellow's costume, it's Wonder Blue's costume.
Yeah, and then like Violet used the legendary whatever for better or for worse with Edelgard, Dimitri, and Claude.
Yeah,
it would be less outlandish, I think, for Wonder Red to use.
Considering he can use those in those games, yeah. I mean, he doesn't have the other members with him in the fight, but Smash hand waves that all the time.
Yeah, and then when you consider that, I mean, you have his hand and fist, his hammer, sword, naginata, bomb, claw, drill, goggles, dash attack like Beautiful Joe apparently, a boomerang like Beautiful Joe apparently, a giant glider, a whip, a weird cyclone, and apparently a tombstone, which I would have to look up. How do you fight with that? So there's a lot there. There's a lot there, and there's also Platinum Robo, the gigantic mech, which funnily for a final smash, which funnily enough, you could say
6 Majin can be Beautiful Joe's Final Smash, which is also a giant mech. So this was deliberate, obviously. Interesting. Yeah, and Beautiful Joe, as you said, very, very combo heavy character. I think in Marvel vs. Capcom 3, that was pretty much kind of it. Like you're fighting. It's heavily martial arts based kind of moves, wackier because it's Beautiful Joe.
Yeah.
And then he's hitting you like the groovy uppercut of the Red Hot Cake, where you're having fire effects thrown in. So that's a little bit of something, and then throwing the V. So I've been blabbing a lot though, so I'll let you guys talk. Like, Eric, what are you thinking for?
No worries. Nice to hear your opinion on. It remind me of a lot of stuff that these characters do, actually, because I'm also not super familiar with them. I played Beautiful Joe as like a kid. I've yet to play both these games fully. And so that's something that stands out to me the most too, is that while they are similar looking to each other, I think that Beautiful Joe is a little bit more like self-contained. I think like Wonder Red is going to be like a lot more harder to pull off in game too, because from what I understand, he kind of has like an army of people with him at all times that form these weapons and stuff. Like, so is it going to be like a scaled down version of that for his moveset, or what do you guys like envision Wonder Red actually working?
Honestly, I'm kind of with you on that. Like, I think Wonder Red is a very interesting idea, but I do wonder how that's going to actually look. It's like, okay, so he does Wonder Arm. Is he going to have like a whole bunch of people just like swarm him? They just create an arm? Or is some people be like miniature shrunk down? Or are they just going to do like a simplified version of things? He's just like, he just creates a giant arm that's going to like materializes. If when he does Wonder Hammer, is the hammer just going to appear in his arms just like a normal sized hammer, but it looks like the hammer from the games? Like, how is that going to look? I honestly have a hard time really envisioning it as well.
Yeah, everything in Wonderful 101 is scaled to be like citywide kind of destruction, right? So it's, I don't know, like, is he gonna have like Pikmin Oliver kind of followers around him at all times, or like I don't. It's gonna be, the size is an issue for sure.
Yeah.
What do you think, John?
I think you can do it in the sense that you have a couple of characters behind him doing the Pikmin style thing. And possibly have one or two characters sharing this character spot where you are able to swap between them to change it up a little bit or whatever. But I think it would be fine personally to just draw on smaller versions of the moves. I don't think it would be too big of an issue. And then for the Spinal Smash, you have the larger versions. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's a battle of this stuff here. Wonder Red's being the moveset, despite flaws, is inherently more interesting. Beautiful Joe, on the other hand, Wonderful 101's world looks and feels like plastic. It's a little more sterile despite like all the craziness going on.
I'm sorry about that.
So no problem. So Beautiful Joe has more flair in the department of, he's bringing in a crazy stage. It could be a scrolling movie stage. That would be fun times. He's just a wilder character in general, to where even though he has kind of this almost classic beat 'em up style about him, what else he offers in the content he's putting on the table may be more interesting than Wonderful 101 moveset besides.
I think Beautiful Joe would be, as Eric was saying, a lot simpler to pull off. But at the same time, I don't think that necessarily means he'd be a bad choice. Like, he'd still be an interesting looking character with his abilities to kind of like slow down, speed up time, bombs, his boomerang that flies in, I would say, a unique pattern, which is kind of interesting. It wouldn't just be like a throw in a straight line like Link says. It'd be more like throwing it up kind of a deal, which would be interesting, or have some angling to that. With Wonder Red, I do like the idea of him being able to use these different powers from these different characters, because I think that's a really cool concept. And you could just go the easy route, being like, okay, so when he uses the hammer, it's just Wonder Yellow's hammer just appears and he just uses it. But I feel like you lose some of the inherent properties of Wonderful 101 by simplifying it that way. Well, for a lot of characters, I don't have a problem doing that kind of thing. But when you lose a big part of what makes a game, it is disappointing. Like, I would be okay with it, but I feel like people who are like actual fans of Wonderful 101 would rather see. I don't know if like the hammer can just be like formed in some unique way. Maybe like they can show just like not strictly a material, like if you zoomed in closely, maybe you could see that it's formed of little tiny people. But I don't know. Like, I think I think it's a cooler idea, but I do just wonder about practicality. But at the same time, Smash Dash isn't strictly about practicality. It's more about what we want to see. So maybe I want to see Wonder Red swing a hammer, go in like a screw attack kind of an up special with it.
And
sure. Sorry, Eric.
Oh, no worries. I was gonna say, like, yeah, definitely, I'm on the same track with Lister there too. In agreement with a lot of those points. And I just want to ask John, like, would you say in his own game, like Wonder Red is strictly the main character, or do you think the other characters are also kind of equally important to that game, like Wonder Pink and Wonder Green and all that?
I would say they're important, but the idea is that Wonder Red is clearly the primary protagonist.
Like they're characters in the game, but you are playing as Red.
Okay.
And they just follow his orders. They help him form things, I guess.
Right.
At some point, I'd kind of like to watch the game be played, but
absolutely, it's a cool little game. It's a cool little game, like action Pikmin. Speaking of, we would have had the opposite problem with scaling if we kept Pikmin characters the same size. So
Exactly.
The difference though with Pikmin is that you're plucking Pikmin and throwing them or commanding them to go forward. You're not using 100 Pikmin to create a whip. Well,
yeah, that's fair.
Okay, Olimar has Pikmin chain, but you're not creating 100 Pikmin to create a bomb or a gun.
Because like Olimar, like Olimar's like normal size in his own game though, right? But Wonder 101, they're huge in their own game.
Yeah,
you know,
like Olimar and the Pikmin are scaled correctly to Smash. More or less. Maybe the Pikmin should be a little bit smaller. I guess I'm not entirely sure. But the Wonder characters, they're all on the same scale as each other.
Yeah. Maybe a Wonder Red, and per your argument anyway, would be more suited towards being an assist trophy where you can get that kind of crazy height and width without over the top.
That would make sense.
Right. And at the same time, maybe Kamiya would ban Sakurai for creating a character that kind of neuters the Wonderful 101s.
I feel like Kamiya would be very involved in whatever of his creations get into Smash.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he already is. I assume he was with Bayonetta.
And definitely will.
Yeah.
Okay.
Speaking of, next Smash game, if Bayonetta comes back, she needs her Bayonetta 3 design. It is so good.
True.
Also, I just remembered something I wanted to mention. We talked about the release date for Andy Reboot Camp. And I said it was on December 3rd and how that's coming up. This episode's releasing December 4th. So...
Nice.
Timing.
Did you record this on December 2nd?
Nope. Recorded a little bit sooner, a little bit earlier than that. Yeah, no.
Okay, that's the magic of television. Is you don't just sit in a room at 12 o'clock a.m. and then release the episode that's next day at 3 a.m.
Exactly. That would stress me out too much. Holy shit.
Some people think that's how it goes, but
the earliest I like recording is a week before it's supposed to air, and even then that stresses me out. It's like, nah, man.
Yeah, there's been a couple close calls where we've done it like same day or day prior.
Yeah.
And those were not exactly fun. Oh, they're entertaining for the sake of it. The stress kept us alive. I don't know. At the same time, I think we have that healthy argument against Wonder Red actually, and we've talked about both the characters, I think, and what they can offer. I think ultimately you have a character who, moveset wise, has a very unique potential. It's a question of how you want to extrapolate that and put that into the moveset.
Yeah.
And then the other hand, you have a character who is a
A lot more straightforward.
Amalgamation of kind of these beat 'em up characters that, while not necessarily the most unique, has a unique flair, and that would make him fun.
An idea I'd like to put forward for Viewtiful Joe. I'm assuming this is in the Switch Queen, but I actually don't know. But I know he can do this in Marvel vs. Capcom. When he's in the air, when some of his attacks, when he's using them, he kind of just like stays where he is. He's not falling at normal height like or normal speed like you normally would be. So like he's just pulling off a combo in air, a small slight fall speed, but he's more or less hanging there. Like Peach is hovering, except he's actually throwing out a combo. That could be very interesting for his aerial moves. Have him do like an actual multi-hit combo attacks that he's just hanging there instead of falling down at the same time.
Yeah,
I think that's true to his games, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be something unique for that other character shouldn't have.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like
absolutely.
Let's see, like I also you also talk about like the relevancy of these characters too. Like I think Beautiful Joe at this point is kind of forgotten. He had like a moment of time where he did not too bad, right? But at this point, I think Wonderful 101 is kind of more prevalent right now, especially with like the remaster coming out too, right? Or recently. That's also something.
Oh, that's right. But it wasn't on Switch. It was on what, PlayStation or something?
No, it was on Switch and PS4. The Wonderful 101 remaster. Yeah.
I don't remember seeing that.
I guess it went under the radar. They're kind of a niche game, right? But...
I mean, I'm not surprised if it went under the radar. It's not one of Kamiya's most well-known projects.
Right. I would say at the time, Viewtiful Joe's height of popularity was higher than Wonderful 101's ever was. At the same time, if we're talking about likelihood, which is not necessarily what Smash Dash is, but to entertain it for a second, there's also just Viewtiful Joe is part of the Capcom cabal, and there are dozens of Capcom characters to consider, including other Kamiya projects, including other beat-up characters. So that might be his. Whereas Wonderful 101, Nintendo kind of partially invested in the original release, so maybe I would give Wonder Red a boost in that respect. But again, Smash Dash is kind of explicitly, what do we want to see? And so that's going to kind of be an interesting crux here, because it was an interesting conversation. And one that, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, I think we've kind of exhausted. I think that we can be ready enough to make a vote. Yeah. And who should make their vote first is the question.
Well, does any of us feel strongly one way or the other?
I wouldn't say necessarily too strongly. I would say that I went into this more or less maybe like 70-30 Wonder Red, Viewtiful Joe, just on the basis of Wonder Red being more interesting to me on the out front with the moveset. We had that discussion. There was a question of how would we make that moveset happen? And we didn't come out with a clear answer, right?
Yeah.
So that kind of
the simplest way is to just have the weapon appear in his hands, like whatever their weapons look like when those characters are using them. So Wonder Green's gun in Wonder Red's hands, Wonder Blue's sword,
right?
Wonder White's claws.
Yeah. And with that said, it's Smash or Dash. I'm just going to kind of go off the idea of we don't necessarily need a clear-cut argument for the moveset.
It's true. That's not our job.
Just the idea that
we're not the programmers.
Just the idea that it is right. Just the idea that it's more interesting to me. I'm going to vote for Wonder Red.
All right. I'm very much on the fence. I feel like I could go either way. I'm not super. How do I put this? Invested in either character, and the arguments haven't really swayed me either way with them. I feel like either of them could work feasibly, but which one would I prefer? I don't know. What do you think, Eric?
Yeah, I would definitely agree with you, Lister, on that one. I wouldn't be heartbroken if either one was picked over the other. I have more personal connection to Viewtiful Joe. Like I played that as a kid, and I think that's like it actually is. It deserves like its praise as like an outstanding beat 'em up for the GameCube era. I think I would just go with Viewtiful Joe as a good self-contained character that would bring interesting new mechanics.
All
And
right.
kind of representing my genre.
More is a valid argument.
Anything can be a valid argument in Smash or Dash.
Precisely.
I could say I like this person's hair, and that's my vote. I can do whatever. We can all do whatever we want. Between these guys, the way I'm kind of looking at this, I never played either game. I played the demo for one. I played a little bit of Viewtiful Joe in Marvel's Capcom. I think they both can bring some unique properties. If I'm looking at things in terms of what I think could be more interesting for Smash, Viewtiful Joe has his boomerang. He has some slowdown. He has bombs. He has potentially some interesting stay in the air combos. The Wonder Boy create weapons, but how interesting are those going to be? How interesting is a bomb when we already have a character like Link and other characters that can utilize bombs? It's hard to say either way. I think, God, I'm honestly going back and forth between both of these.
This is a good matchup, hey?
Yeah, no, I mean it is. When we were picking for the characters for this one, I was like, okay, well, we're not going to talk about Amaterasu because we just did that one the last Smash or Dash, and also Amaterasu would just win, so that wasn't fun. But these two, it's like they look similar, and I feel like they'd be fairly evenly matched. I'm honestly, I think I'm going to go Viewtiful Joe, largely for his personality. Wonder Boy doesn't have a whole lot personality-wise to him. He's just kind of like default leader in a large-scale city game where he's creating weapons. But Viewtiful Joe, he has voice. Well, not that effect. He has voice lines. Like he's talking shit. He's saying things. He has personality in the way that he attacks and moves. I think that that puts him over the edge for me. It's a very close line, but I feel like that's a big that pushes him above the Wonder Boy.
Yum.
There we go.
All right. That is our first match for the day. 2 Hideki Kamiya creations. And we got 2 more to cover. Both of these were created during Kamiya's time at Capcom. One of them, I do believe, was before Clover Studios existed. Somebody will tell me I'm wrong if I'm wrong. But we have a Resident Evil fame, Jill Valentine. He didn't Resident Evil doesn't typically fall under Kamiya's banner, but he did produce the first 2 games, I believe it was, and Jill's an RE1, so it counts. Alongside her, we've got Dante from Devil May Cry. Again, that's a little bit more associated with Kamiya than Resident Evil is, but they're both gun toters. They hunt some form of monster, one shooting zombies, the other shooting demons. So, there's fair.
So it goes. And Eric, you've played both of these games. I'd say you're a pretty strong Resident Evil fan and Devil May Cry fan, right?
Oh yeah, I would say this is definitely a very exciting matchup for me. I know both of them pretty intimately. Love Resident Evil series, love Devil May Cry series. Just finished playing all of them, 1 to 5, skipping 2. But just do a quick overview of who they are. I suppose I think that is also a great matchup because I think these were probably the 2 front runners for a next Capcom rep during the Smash Ultimate DLC era. I think that either one could have been a viable choice to represent another Capcom rep. And I think I'll start with Jill Valentine. She is the female lead of Resident Evil 1 and 3, best known for those roles. And Resident Evil being a very famous survival horror series. Herself is a STARS operative of Raccoon City that was sent out to fight bioterrorism created by the Umbrella Corporation, creating all those zombies and mutants creatures that you find in the first game. And it's kind of like resource management, survival shooter. Kind of like one of the first ones it did as well as it did during the PS1 era. And then she is like the face of that alongside Chris. And next up is Dante, who is the half demon, half human protagonist of all the Devil May Cry games for the most part. Besides his nephew Nero. He stars using a variety of weapons, kind of like God of War-ish style of combat with different weapon types, beating up demons, racked up huge style points, crazy nice, like crazy awesome music, and yeah, just overall fun games. And he has a lot of tools to his disposal, very action oriented. Across all his games, he probably has like 12, 15 weapons he could use, honestly.
Nice.
Very, very similar
He's
to
also the
Bayonetta as well, who has a
original
fuck ton of weapons that she can use.
That's true.
Honestly, because I recently watched Let's Plays for both Bayonetta 1 and 2, and seeing the sheer amount of weaponry she has in those games,
Yeah.
and then in Smash, it's just like, I
Just the
can
guns.
jump and slow time and shoot guns. And whatever her side special is, because I don't remember it.
Some sort of strike attack, or she's dashing forward. With the
Yeah,
boots.
that's right. Yeah, I don't think know that those are the moves I would have picked for. I mean, which time makes sense, and guns, I guess, but I feel like the others could have had some other weapons that she could have represented in some way. But Dante is a character that, for me, it's difficult to judge him as a Smash fighter purely because you're paralyzed for choice. It's like, how do you narrow down his massive amount of weaponry? Like, obviously, when it comes to the swords, he's going to be using his main Sparta sword, obviously. Obviously, when it comes to his guns, he's going to be using his main guns, Ebony and Ivory. But then what else? What do you pick from there? Do you have his guitar in there? Do you have, like, the icy whip chain thing that he has? The all the gauntlets that he uses? What? Well, Devil Trigger's got to be the fun of Smash. We know that. But what else? How do you narrow it down?
For one of his taunts, he eats the pizza.
Honestly, I think he would have a pizza eating taunt or victory was, or at least something mentioning pizza.
Yeah.
I think that's a pretty safe bet,
Like,
honestly.
Kicks up a chair and takes a slice, hey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
A nice victory pose. He's just like sitting, relaxing. It's like, yeah, I won. So what?
And
You're
I
assuming?
think
Yeah.
if you wanted to go for the simplistic with Dante, I think you would just take the Bayonetta route because they got the Bayonetta style down really well. But like you guys said, they really skipped down like a lot of weaponry she had in those games. So Dante, maybe you could get away with just like Lister said, Ebony and Ivory and the Sparta sword, right? Because the Sparta sword has multiple forms too. But otherwise, Cerberus, the Ice Whip has multiple incantations too, and there's just a lot you can do with the character for sure. As long as you get the style down right and you have like the stylish meter somewhere, I think you'll be doing fine. But
Yeah. He has a lot that you can pull from. A lot of times we've discussed characters that are like they have a bunch of tools, and I'm just like, man, but what am I gonna pick for them? It's like fucking Christ. Some characters have some characters. You have the problem of like they have very little to choose from. Spyro the Dragon has very little to pick from as a potential fighter, but Dante, Kratos. They have so much. What do you pick? They have their iconic stuff, but you're not going to have him use the gun and swords for all four of his specials and all his normal attacks. You got to have something else in there.
Yeah.
There's a wealth to draw from.
Standard special button. Dante blows in the air, and then it's levitating the pizza with its breath, and then with a press of the diagonal stick, you can shoot the pizza in one direction or the other.
Sometimes I wonder if you get drunk before you start the episodes, or if you do some kind of drug. I gotta wonder about your mental state some days.
Yep. But it wouldn't be that unlikely, would it? That'd be pretty cool. So Kamiya loves his kind of American-esque crazy style
combo
in his
games.
Bayonetta, Bayonetta, Dante, Viewtiful Joe,
Okami,
all falling. Yeah, Okami, Metal Gear Rising, all falling under that umbrella.
Astral Chain.
So that's pretty neat. Yeah. And that might be the strongest argument Joe might have against him is that she represents something that isn't represented in Smash yet.
Yeah.
Because it's easy. I mean, to be honest, it is easy to talk about a character like Dante, and then even for someone with a pedigree like Jill, a legacy like Jill, from a major franchise like Jill, oh yeah, Dante, look at all this shit. It's like, oh, and then there's Jill.
Yeah.
It's,
Jill kind of falls under the banner
even
that
then,
other characters we discussed have fallen under including Lara Croft and Nathan Drake. It's like, okay, so they have guns. Guns, strictly speaking, in terms of Smash, aren't very exciting. It's like, okay, there's like 100 characters that can be like, they have pistols and machine guns. Cool. So it's kind of harder to, I feel excited by potential movesets for characters like that. But you also just have like the Resident Evil legacy comes with Jill, and we're talking about Jill, but technically speaking, we could be talking about Jill, Chris, or Leon. Any of the three of them would really fit the exact same mold for Resident Evil. We just picked Jill because Kamiya definitely worked on Resident Evil 1, and she's one of the two leads in the game, and personally, she's more interesting than Chris.
Yeah.
It's just true.
Yeah, I think so. And for me, I think she's my favorite of the bunch, like above Leon as a major fan.
Chris at the bottom for sure. Leon maybe one or two, but
Yeah, I mean Leon is definitely popular. Him and Jill were chosen to represent Resident Evil and Dead by Daylight, so there is that to him. I did a little bit of looking in terms of like kinds of weaponry that Jill usually uses, and it seems like she typically favors combat knives, pistols, and machine guns. But also she is in RE1, I think RE3 as well. The grenade launcher is exclusive to her. She's the only one that uses it. It's exclusive to her missions. So I feel like if we have her in, you really need to have the grenade launcher, either as like a down special perhaps, or her final smash. I could also see the Nemesis T-type being in her final smash, like she's fighting it off, and maybe somehow whoever's caught in the final smash gets involved in that shootout. Don't know how.
Yeah, where she's just shooting the hell out of Nemesis with the grenade launcher, and towards the end of that game. That's a pretty cool scene. Yeah.
But
funnily enough, I mean, we're mentioning grenades, grenade launcher, CQC, knives. Sounds familiar, doesn't it?
It does. Snake and other characters that we've talked about, but also, I mean, Snake doesn't really.
Kept you waiting. No.
Snake doesn't do a whole lot with his kit. I mean, he's mostly just punches and kicks. I feel like if Snake were to be added to Smash Hit Ultimate instead of Brawl, he'd fight a little bit differently. But I feel like there is still room for a character like that, because Snake doesn't, like, he has his guided rocket launcher, missile launcher, whichever it fucking is. He can play into mine, but beyond that, he doesn't do honestly much with guns.
Yeah, Resident Evil has its fair share of weaponry to choose from in the gun department.
And she was playable in Marvel's Capcom 2 and 3. A vastly different appearance in the second game. In Marvel's Capcom 2, she's more based off of RE1. And I know she has an attack where she pushes a zombie at somebody. In VC3, she's more based on RE5 in her very acrobatic, brainwashed state. And I'm just like, can we... No.
That's about as stupid as RE5 itself, so...
But Boulder. Gotta push. Boulder.
Bunch of Boulder. But yeah, I was gonna mention that while Resident Evil is like no doubt a legendary series that's still strong today, the difference between Jill and Dante is that Dante is like the star of his own game. He's the most interesting part of his own games, like him as a character and all the things he has going on for him. Meanwhile, Jill is more like the vehicle to her environments in her games. Like the enemies in the games, the situations are more interesting than Jill herself to me.
Like honestly, if I get to pick a Resident Evil rep, I would pick Wesker of any of them.
Yeah, I'd pick. Yeah. Or like even like the monsters in the game that follow you around, right?
Yeah.
Because it's kind of
God, fucking Nemesis in Smash. Dear God.
It's almost better than Jill, isn't it? Like,
I mean, I can't deny that it would be very representative. It's kind of like when people talk about Monster Hunter. Rathalos being a boss feels better representative of Monster Hunter than a generic Monster Hunter being playable. I know that's sacrilege for some people. In fairness, I haven't played the games, but the Monster Hunter is more about the monsters from my outsider perspective.
Yeah, that's a fair point. And I think as far as moveset potential would go for Joe, Leon, or Chris, or Claire, or whoever,
Shut up.
You would be leaning into the zombie aspects. Throwing a zombie at someone, you'd be like, "Hey, Jill threw a zombie at someone before hitting him with a grenade launcher and a gun and a knife." It's like, which one stands out? It's the zombie.
It's true.
Yeah.
Talking about Dante, there is honestly a whole lot more that stands out. Again, Jill, it's a product of the environment. You're talking about her, you may as well think about Resident Evil as a whole. And if you're more interested in seeing a Resident Evil stage, Resident Evil assist trophies, bosses, assets, okay,
Mhm.
then maybe Jill's your pick. And I could see how the odds from a very eccentric, eclectic, iconic character like Dante, who seems immeasurably like an unfair matchup against so many other characters, that's where you're going to be able to differentiate. It's like, okay, do you want Devil May Cry's world in, or do you want Resident Evil? And maybe it's a little more.
Sure.
Which
That's a good
point?
point.
Yeah. So who knows from that aspect? Because they're both really, really beloved franchises. Who you could say there's an RE5 or an RE6. You can also say that there was a DMC reboot, and
Yeah.
There
so
is no DMC
Yeah, true.
reboot in Bossing.
We don't talk about that remake, John. Don't wash your mouth out with soap after that one. Gee. No, it's good.
Sony talked about it in their take on Smash Brothers, and that's why they haven't made a second one.
That game had its variety of issues.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
God, I still think they could have success if they made another one and just fixed some dumb. Please fix the dumb. Oh my God.
Oh god.
Insomniac Spider-Man in it.
DMC 5 is such
I-
a good direction.
I played it enough to beat the campaign as each character, and I was like, all right, that's enough for me. I'm good.
I couldn't do it back in the day, at least.
It was rough.
We'll see. I mean, that could be a fun on topic one day. I know we've kind of went back and forth with that, like a
Yeah.
sequel for one day. Okay. I mean, I have my vote. I mean, you guys.
I think
think-
so.
Well, I think so.
You broke the tie last time, so maybe you should go.
It sounds, Eric, did you have something else you wanted to throw in there before? It sounded like you were trying to say
Oh
something.
yeah. Just before we close off there, I just want to say I definitely think that John has a good point. And if I can't think about more because ideally I'd prefer to have Dante, but then at Resident Evil stage to represent better. Because I think Resident Evil deserves to be represented more, but I don't think just Jill as a character is the best way to do that. I think the assets are way more important.
Mm.
So that's actually tough if you think about it that way. But yeah, did you choose one or the other? I didn't quite hear you.
He hasn't yet. It was going to be up to me first. Something else I also wanted to mention as well is like with Ultimate, we started getting third-party assist trophies that didn't have a character in Smash. We haven't had anything like a third-party stage. That's not that doesn't have a character in Smash, but it doesn't mean we can't get it at some point. Tetris is honestly a really good choice for that. But also, I mean, from me, those two games, you get some like a Dante assist trophy. You get like a Nemesis assist trophy. We have Dante as a Mii costume in Ultimate, so. That's there already.
Imagine a Dante assist trophy. Imagine how pissed people would be.
Oh, no.
I mean, you're not wrong. Honestly, third-party assist trophies, I feel like should either be smaller characters or characters that like don't have a whole lot of variety to them. Like, I know people want Bomberman, but Bomberman does have less variety to him. Or things like a character that's more like a side character, but not a side character, but like an important character, but not one that you really imagine how to fight. Like again, a Nemesis. I think Nemesis would be a really good assist trophy pick for Resident games. Well, I mean, like a game that doesn't have a fighter. So we have Alucard, but we have Simon Richter already, and Alucard was considered that
Alucard would be an amazing character. Yeah,
he would be if we had another Castlevania character. I feel like it probably would be him. But I would not want him instead of Simon. I feel like Simon is still that first pick. Between these two characters, though, I do feel like either of them could work, or the other two, Resident Evil Protex. But when it comes to which one would I rather have, I mean, I really don't feel like it's that hard of a choice for me. One character is just more interesting on a variety of levels. I feel like it's an easy vote for Dante.
Yeah, Eric, you want to throw your vote in next?
We'll make our money next. Okay. I do love both the characters a lot. I do love their games. Like I think Resident Evil is kind of deserves to be in there more, but I do think Dante would bring a lot more to the table and like just have interesting specials and moveset potential all around, especially if you use like the ends of his arsenal, like. And like also like regards to personality wise, if you like the personality of Viewtiful Joe, then like Dante has a lot going for him too. So I think I would go for Dante.
Yeah, and there's no tie to break here then, so I'll just throw in my final thoughts. Firstly, I mean I'm going for Dante. This is one of those conversations where honestly the decision is made when you go into it, for the reasons you two have already mentioned. Otherwise, I mean, yeah, I'm liking the idea of I like Resident Evil more as a franchise personally than Devil May Cry, but Dante's such a personality, such a well-known and beloved character, that even if you don't barely know his games, you know him, and that fits the idea that I always have in my head looking at Smash characters, especially third parties these days, where you want there to be an iconicity, and Dante is more of an icon than Joe.
Yeah, this matchup is.
Yeah. Sorry.
I was going to quickly say, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, John. I was going to say, like, imagine, like, instead of Dante and Jill, it was, like, Kratos and Nathan Drake, right?
Yeah, I mean, if we weren't billing this foursome specifically as, like, a Hideki Kamiya special, we probably would have put Dante against Kratos and Jill against maybe Frank West, I would guess. Two zombie hunters, essentially. But, I mean, we've already discussed Nathan Drake, so he's kind of out. Kratos, he'll probably come at some point. I just don't know who he'll go up against.
He would probably beat Dante, though, to be honest, from my perspective. But
hard to see. I mean, I'm watching Let's Plays of God of War right now, and I want to watch Devil May Cry afterwards. But it's a lot of footage to get through.
Yeah. I will say, if it was Dante versus Wesker, it would be a lot harder for me to choose.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. But Wesker could be a convincing boss versus trophy too. That's fair. Or Mr. X, or Nemesis, or the Mega Mycete from 7 and 8. There's a lot of good choices there. Now, I'm gonna have to kind of reinterpret how I look at Resident Evil and Smash, because this conversation brought about ideas that I hadn't thought of before. For like Eric's discussion on other aspects from Resident Evil. So that was neat.
I think we can all agree that there is one character from Resident Evil that will never be playable in Smash.
Yes. Ethan Winters, because he doesn't have a face.
Exactly. He doesn't have a face. It's like, what the fuck, Capcom? It's like, we want the players to imagine that they're the character. No, fuck off with this Avatar bullshit. Fuck off. Fuck off.
Yeah.
Considering
I want characters that have
Evil
personality in their own character, not just like, imagine yourself. No. No.
Yeah.
Fuck that shit. I'm so sick of it.
One-liners.
I'm so sick of boring, faceless avatars that they're just like, we felt like not making a character, so it's easier on us.
Yeah.
Eat paste.
I loved how they did that with Byleth and Three Houses, and then they turned it into a story.
To be fair, yeah, Byleth, they actually were clever with why Byleth is so unexpressive. It's like, okay, I give you credits for points there, but it's still another Avatar. Can we please the next Fire Emblem game not be Avatar centric? Or, you know, if we have one, make it more Mark style. And we have no premise in the story. It's just like tactician. It's like, okay, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But don't pull another Robin or Byleth where it's like the prophesized hero.
Yeah, you're the God King the whole time. Cliche again, you know.
Adding Chris into the Mystery of the Emblem remake and taking some of Marth's lines of characterization from that game and giving it to this brand new Avatar. It's like, seriously? Why?
Yeah.
Martha's own games is very uninteresting. It's kind of sad.
Took him 5 years to win the Choose Your Legends poll in Fire Emblem Heroes.
Yeah,
5 fucking years. Finally, he won. Dear God. That's so the gatekeeper.
Merlinus is next. Anyway.
No, that was a really good discussion, though. I like where that went and kind of rethinking. Yeah, like John said, I like John's points.
Thanks.
Unless your points look worse. Just in regards to that last statement in regards to like maybe the character is not the be all end all for representation in Smash.
Yeah.
I like that point a lot. Yeah.
I mean, it's a fair argument. So some games they are not best represented by whoever their playable characters, especially games that are just faceless avatars.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Monster Hunter again being a very good example. There's like, yeah, you play as the hunter. Does anybody care about the hunter?
Yeah.
Not really. I mean, they care about the hunter's weapons. They care about the monsters.
They care about
Not
making their
really
hunter
having
dress
stuff.
up in the outfit that they want and using the hunter to kill monsters. But the hunter has no character, no agency. There's nothing about them to really get attached to. Byleth has
Sure,
more
like, you're
personality
not
than the
gonna-
hunter.
Right. You're not going to feel an emotional attachment to the hunter like you do Marth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yahoo.
Oh,
Yeah, I still think Edelgard could have been like 1-for-1 with Byleth. Like she could still like use their weapons too. Like,
Yeah.
It's just like their kind of personality, you know. But.
her
God,
Dimitri
I
or Claude would have been
so
better.
wish.
Like if
I
they wanted
so
to do Byleth,
wish.
just like I just don't like that he took their weapons because it really felt like they were just saying, yeah, we don't want to include them ever. So he have this and stuff. It's like you could have like if you wanted to go that kind of route, you could have given them like the Lance of Ruin, or I don't remember the name of it because their fucking
His sword
weapon
weapon's
names are
unique.
crazy. Annette's hammer. There you go. That could have been used. Thyrsis could have been used. Marianne gets a sword. Why Marianne gets a sword? It's not Joyce. Blood Gang, I think that's what it's called. But it's like I feel like that would have been better than just be like the Lord's weapons. We're just gonna steal them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it kind of leaves credence. I mean, thinking of Monster Hunter, that one rumor a long while ago where they were saying, "Oh, Monster Hunter was going to be in Smash," but the deal fell through, so they took that moveset and gave it to Byleth.
Yeah, and the speculation was that we were supposed to get a Resident Evil character, but the deal fell through for that as well. And so they just feel like they quickly threw in Byleth and gave them their ideas for Monster Hunter. Whether any of that is true or not, I don't fucking know. I would believe that it's true. It would not shock me, but
At least it would make more sense why they did it though too.
yeah.
Well, we are going to get another Capcom character, and it's going to end up being Ganado.
It's what?
Firebrand carrying Ganado.
Oh, I thought it was gonna be Chibi Tarasu.
Definitely, yes.
Yeah.
There's actually going to be Sleepy the Bear.
Wow.
There's gonna be Windy Oldbag.
There you go. I agree.
Yeah, that's our Ace
What
Attorney.
do you
rep.
think it's going to be, Eric?
Oh God.
He's going for Gumshoe. He's going to finally make his reappearance.
Objection.
There you go. That was a fun episode, boys. So Dante won, and so did Viewtiful Joe.
Dante
Huzzah.
and Viewtiful Joe will be moving on to the Tournament of Champions 3. Yeah, we're doing that again. Okay. Oh boy. At least the last one went smoother than the first one. Holy
Same.
shit. But next time on Super Cast Brothers, we're going back to an on topic. We're actually going to be discussing what is next for Sakurai. We don't fucking know, but we'll be speculating on it. Smash is done. But what is he going to do next? He ain't retiring yet, I hope.
Could he deserve it?
I mean, yes, but I don't wanna.
Yeah, no, me too.
We need him to
we'll see.
make like Ice Climbers Uprising.
Uprising 2, even.
Yeah, true.
Ice Climbers Up Climbing.
Pitch it, market it.
Takamaru
Fans are
in the
free,
mysterious
but it's the
Uprising
duck
Castle.
and
There you go. There you go. There you go.
NES Remix 3. Wah wah.
There you
Wow,
go.
that'd be all right. Meteos 2.
Hell yeah. You fought the Meteos in that one weird alien arc in Uprising anyway, so. Not really.
No.
Was the Oro.
Wow. Okay, well, on that note, go ahead and end things here. Eric, once again, great to have you on. I'm sure you'll be on again sometime in the future.
We will.
Considering that you live in Jonno's basement, we can just pull you up whenever we need you.
Exactly. I'll be underneath your floorboards.
Yeah.
No, I would love
Is
to
that
come
the
back.
moaning I've been hearing at night?
Give me a little plug up my hair next time I need to
Oh, no,
chop
that's
up
the dog.
some pickles and onions.
They just look like you.
But no, it would be fun to come back for the fourth party discussion. I think there's a lot of fourth party options that could really work and could be fun one too. It's always a pleasure to come on with you guys, and thanks for having me again.
Of course.
Cheerio. To Azerta and to Assault.
Cheers, boys.
Unless they're a fourth party, in which case, fuck off.